everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Raw in Wonderland. Grab your coffee because today we're diving into a fascinating story, one that intertwines archaeology, dreams, illusions, and deep psychological insights. Yes, we're talking about Gradiva, a novella by Wilhelm Jensen, and how Sigmund Freud's analysis of it turned it into the first novel ever examined through a psychoanalytic lens. This episode is more about than just literature. It's about hidden truths, how our subconscious speaks to us, and why running away from something only makes it follow us even more. And let's start with Gradiva, a Pompeian fantasy by Wilhelm Jensen. This is a novella about an archaeologist named Norbert Hanold, who becomes obsessed with an ancient relief sculpture of a woman walking. He calls her Gradiva, meaning the one who walks. The image of this woman, her posture, her movement haunts him. He fixates on her so intensely that he convinces himself she was a real person who lived in Pompeii before the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Norbert's obsession reaches a point where he starts seeing Gradiva in his dreams. Eventually, he travels to Pompeii, convinced that he will find her, or at least something that connects him to her. And here is where things take a fascinating turn. He does see her, a real woman who looks exactly like the sculpture he adores. Is she a ghost, a hallucination, a trick of his mind, or is there something else at play? Norbert's fascination with Gradiva becomes all-consuming, leading him to question the boundaries between past and present, reality and illusion. As he continues his search in Pompeii, he eventually meets the woman he believes to be Gradiva. Her name is Zoe Bertgang, a real, living person, yet she looks exactly like the sculpture he had idolized. To his shock, Zoe is not just any stranger. She is someone from his own past. They grew up on the same street, played together as children, and shared moments he has long buried under his academic obsessions. Through their encounters, Zoe carefully leads Norbert out of his delusions, gently confronting him with the truth. What he mistook for an ancient mystery was actually a forgotten part of his own life, waiting to be rediscovered. Now, let's unpack what is really happening here and why Freud was so captivated by this story. Here are some reflections and key lessons. First one, the things we suppress never really disappear. Freud believed that Norbert's obsession with Gradiva wasn't about archaeology at all. It was about his own past, his suppressed emotions, and a part of himself he had buried. Much like the ruins of Pompeii, which were buried under volcanic ash and later unearthed. Norbert had buried memories and emotions deep in his unconscious, and Gradiva, she was the symbol of what he had lost and forgotten. 2. Dreams are our subconscious speaking to us. Norbert's dream about Gradiva being in Pompeii, walking through the ruins, mirrors his own emotional state. He is drawn to Pompeii not just as a historian, but as someone seeking something hidden in himself. Freud saw dreams as messages. If we learn to interpret them, then they can reveal our deepest fears, desires, and unresolved emotions. 3. Running away from something? It will definitely follow you. Norbert tries to escape from emotional intimacy. He lives for his work, isolates himself, and ignores the presence of women in his life. But what happens? A sculpture of a woman finds its way into his mind, then into his dreams, then into his waking life. The very thing he avoids, the emotional and the human, is exactly what he ends up chasing. It's a reminder that what we suppress will always resurface in some form. 4. We only see what we are ready to see. At one point in the story, Norbert realizes that there is another hotel in Pompeii where Gradiva has been staying. It had always been there, but he had never noticed it. Why? Because his mind wasn't ready to process that she could be real. This is such a profound lesson. Our perceptions are shaped by what we believe is possible. Sometimes things are right in front of us, but we don't see them because we don't believe they could be real. 5. A little playfulness can lead to healing. Here is where Gradiva, who is actually a woman named Zoe, becomes the real hero. Instead of confronting Norbert harshly or telling him outright that he is imagining things, she plays along, gently leading him out of his illusion and back into reality. This is such a beautiful metaphor for healing. Sometimes we don't need someone to tell us we are wrong. We need someone to walk with us, give us space, and let us find the truth on our own. So, what can we take from Gradiva and Freud's analysis? That our minds are fascinating landscapes filled with hidden truths, that what we suppress doesn't disappear, it waits for the right moment to surface, that our dreams are worth paying attention to, and that healing often happens not through force but through gentle understanding. And maybe there is a Gradiva in your life, something you buried, something calling out to you from the past. Maybe it's time to stop running and start listening, because as Freud and this story remind us, the past is never really gone. It's just waiting to be rediscovered. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep walking forward, just like Gradiva. Bye, guys!